our topic is waste management. First, let me introduce you with my group members.
Is through contact with contaminated sites. Contaminated sites are places where natural or human processes have left waste that can be dangerous to human or environmental health.
Any process that removes contaminated material from a safe location, like a laboratory, and releases it.
Do you know anything about waste management? Seems like you didn't know. So, let's go find out with me. Definition of waste management. Waste management or waste disposal includes the activities and action required to manage waste from its inception to its final disposal. This includes the collection, transport, treatment, and disposal of waste together with monitoring and regulation of the waste management process. Waste can be solid, liquid, or gas, and each type has different method of disposal and management. Waste management deals with all types of waste, including industrial, biological, and household. In some cases, waste can pose a threat to human health. Health issues are associated throughout the entire process of waste management. Health issues can also arise indirectly or directly through the handling of said waste and indirectly through the consumption of water, soil, and food waste is produced by human activity, for example, the extraction and processing of raw materials. Waste management is intended to reduce adverse effects of waste on human health, the environment, or aesthetics. Other than definition, do you want to know the history of the management? I also want to know about it, so let's go! History of waste management. First, the first occurrence of organized solid waste management system appeared in London in the late 18th century. The second, the Nuisance Removal and Disease Prevention Act of 1846. The number 3, the Public Health Act 1875. And the number 4, in 1874, the first incinerator was built in Nottingham by Manlove Elliott and Co. Ltd. to the design of Alfred Fryer. And the number 5, the Garwood Load Packer was the first truck in 1938 to incorporate a hydraulic compactor. So, I will pass this to the next representative.
Now let's talk about waste management practice. As we know, every country has their own way in handling waste management. For some developed countries such as Germany and Sweden, they did manage their waste management well. So for Germany, they followed the centerpiece of Germany's Waste Management Act, and it contained a 5-level waste hierarchy that lays down a fundamental series of steps comprising waste, prevention, reuse, recycle, and other elements besides, including energy recovery. And finally, waste disposal. The various types of waste have to be collected separately at source so as to maximize the recycling potential of the various waste streams. Separate collection of the various types of waste is necessary in order to maintain waste stream specific quality standards for recycling. The Instrument of Product Responsibility promulgated by the Waste Management Act defines responsibilities along the product life cycle, as well as incentive for manufacturers to make durable products that generate a minimum amount of waste. The principle of product responsibility is also intended to ensure environmentally sound recovery and disposal of end-of-life goods. Then, these various waste streams are managed via a number of sophisticated waste management methods. This method entails the use of various waste treatment techniques depending on the type of waste involved. Then, for Sweden, home and business owners filter and separate the waste into hazardous waste and recyclable material, which are then sent to different waste management systems like incinerators and recycling, and a small amount to landfills. The furnaces in WTE plants are loaded with garbage and then burned to generate steam, which is further used to spin turbines in order to produce electricity. The waste that is recycled in essential use as a resource converts into district heating, electricity, biogas, and biofertilizer. This is actually very brilliant. Okay, now for Malaysia, implementation of solid waste management strategy based on waste hierarchy is practiced by reuse and improving the quality of product that can be recycled. This hierarchy was placed in the following order: waste minimization, prevention, reduction, reuse, recycling, composting, incineration, and disposal.
As you can see, this is waste minimization hierarchy. The first one on the top is reduction. It is also known as waste prevention, means reducing waste at the source. It can take many different forms, including reusing or donating items. Such reduction is also important in manufacturing and can save natural resources. It includes any activity that reduces or eliminates the generation of waste. Waste reduction helps to create less waste in the first place before recycling. Since it's about recycling, composting, landfilling, and combustion, it helps to reduce waste disposal and handling costs. On the second place is reuse. It is defined as re-employment of materials to be used in the same application or to be used in lower grade application. To reuse it to use an item more than once. This includes conventional reuse where the item is used again for the same function. Recycling, it includes using a waste material for another purpose, treating and reusing it in the same process. Recycling is a series of activities that includes the collection of used, reused, or unused items that would otherwise be considered waste, sorting and processing the recyclable products into raw materials, and remanufacturing the recycled raw material into new products. Composting. It includes elementary neutralization, and composting achieves the microbiological degradation of organic matter to produce an organic product for use in agriculture. Lastly, goes to disposal, the final product that cannot be recycled, reduced, reused, or energy recovered goes to the landfill for disposal. In Malaysia, landfill is more preferred way of disposal than incinerator because again of the demographic behavior. Landfilling manage the waste that cannot be reduced or recycled. Disposal decisions depend on the cost, land availability, population characteristic, and proximity to water bodies. They include a large disposal area which contains numerous smaller cells, and the solid waste is disposed in these cells daily, using specially designed bulldozers and covered with a thin layer of soil or some alternative cover.
Next, let's talk about parties who are involved together in handling or reducing waste. First, non-government organization NGO. NGO involvement in reducing waste was focused on plastic. They are working to educate the public about plastic waste. As we know, plastic is very hard to dispose and it takes 1,000 years to decompose. In order to reduce this plastic waste, Petronas can make a group and with other oil and gas companies to can embark mission changing this plastic to energy or low carbon fuel. So NGOs take action by helping them collecting plastics. Second, government involvement is by creating an action plan for a beautiful and clean Malaysia. All MSW generated is in urban and semi-urban areas should be collected and disposed of adequately in such a manner that it will not create public health, workers' health and environment problems, and will be technically and financially viable. The generator of waste will be supported by the Rural Environment Program of the MHLG should dispose of all municipal solid waste generated in rural areas adequately. And lastly, for public, the public should be continuously educated on cleanliness and resource recovery through health and environment education. Public is encouraged to follow 3R, which is recycling, reuse, and reduce. Recycle all paper, cardboard, rigid plastic, aluminum, steel cans and glass bottles, reuse items around your home, and reduce the amount of waste created by the household by shopping smartly.
So the first graph is projected waste generation by regions. So the basically is waste collection is a critical step in managing waste. It rates very largely by income level, with upper middle and high income countries providing nearly universal waste collection. Low income countries collect about 48% of waste in the city, but this proportion dropped drastically to 26% outside of the urban areas. Across region, Malaysia collect about 44% of waste, while Europe and Central Asia collect at least 19% of waste. So the next one is waste collection rate by income level. Waste composition differs across income level, reflecting varied pattern of consumption. Middle income and low income countries generate 53% and 57% of food and green waste. Respectively, the fraction of organic waste increasing as the economic level development is decreased. The next one is global treatment and disposal of waste. Globally, most waste is currently dumped or disposed of in some form of a landfill. Some 37% of waste is disposed of in some form of landfill, and 8% of which is disposed of in sanitary landfill with landfill gas collection system. Open dumping account for about 31% of waste, 19% is recovered through recycling and compositing, and the other 11%.
Firstly, soil contamination. Nowadays, we would like plastic, glass, metal, and paper waste to end up at recycling center. Then, those materials will return as a renewable product. Contamination occurs by spilling and burying bad components on soil, so we need to be more watchful of how we process the pesticides, heavy metals, lead, and other things that can be dangerous to soil. Such an example, when plastic bottle break down, it releases a harmful component called DH. DH seeps into the surrounding areas of the soil and water bodies to harm animals and plants who are depends on soil to live. Extreme weather caused by climate change. Harmful greenhouse gases are created from decomposing waste. These things rise up to the atmosphere and trap heat. This can cause extreme weather such as storms and typhoons. Apart from temperature, also drastically affected is the level of precipitation in the air. From acid rain to global warming, everything is fair game at present. It spreads out into other areas with regards to subdivisions such as thermal and radioactive pollution. Lastly, air contamination. A lot of it leaves us feeling hopeless, for we feel that we are unable to make necessary things for our ozone layer. We think we cannot consume any less, but at least follow the strict protocol over how it's recycled. When papers and plastic are burned at the landfill and causing the landfill gases, the chemicals released which accumulate and contribute to the ozone layer and hurt the surrounding human population. These things can cause a serious global warming to our Earth.
The centerpiece of Germany's Waste Management Act is a 5-level waste hierarchy that lays down a fundamental series of steps comprising waste prevention, reuse, recycling, and other elements besides, including energy recovery, and finally, waste disposal. The various types of waste have to be collected separately at source so as to maximize the recycling potential of the various waste streams. Separate collection of the various types of waste is necessary in order to maintain waste stream specific quality standards for recycling. Under the Waste Management Act beginning in 2015, separate collection of all the various waste streams comprising paper, glass, plastic, and household organic waste will be mandatory. Waste management practices in Germany systematically aims to minimize waste generation and maximize recycling, while at the same time ensuring the remaining waste is disposed in manner consistent with the common welfare. Incineration is the most widely used waste disposal method in Japan, and it is attractive because of its ability to reduce volume of trash in a country mostly occupied by people and mountains. In 2017, there were about 1,200 incineration facilities in Japan. In 2014, 358 of these plants also generated electricity. It is therefore important to note that in Japan, incineration, thermal recycling, or energy recovery, where the garbage burned produces energy, are not synonymous. Incineration is done at high temperature, and the exhaust gas is put through many stages of cleaning and monitoring to ensure hazardous materials like dioxin and mercury are removed and not released into the air. One waste product of incineration is ash, which has about 10% of the weight of the original garbage burned. This ash can be disposed of in landfills or used as raw material in industrial process. Waste is treated in integrated system and recycled as district heating, electricity, biogas, biofertilizer, and materials. Different treatment methods are used depending on the nature of the waste so as to make it possible to use the waste as a resource. Incineration is a method ideally suited to waste that cannot be recycled in any other way. It is an efficient and environmentally safe method for recovering energy from waste and provide both electricity and district heating in Sweden. Food waste is collected separately from general waste in special bags. These food disposal bags are known as umsikmul and prices of these bags vary by size and district. A monthly fee respective to the amount of food wasted is then charged to each household. Enabled through a radio frequency identification RFID card. Apart from charging fees for food wastage, South Korea also reduces food wastage by reprocessing collected food into livestock feed. Citizens are encouraged to include only what animals can eat in these food disposal bags. Bones, bits of fruits, and seeds hence cannot be considered food waste. The collected waste is then dried out and repurposed into feed appropriate for animal consumption. Some food waste is turned into a fertilizer or food waste compost instead. After it has gone through processing and all moisture is removed, This fermented food waste fertilizer is an eco-friendly and organic option in cultivation of crops. The polluter pays principle applies to environmental damage such as the pollution of water, air, and soil. The cost of investigating, monitoring, and cleaning up sites are located under the polluter pays principle. A limited liability applies with respect to each polluter's respective share where there are multiple polluters. The first to bear the cost is the legal person that through its own conduct caused the required measures, so-called disturber by conduct. Simply being the owner of a contaminated site, so-called disturber by maintaining the harmful condition, bears no cost if, by exercising the required care, the owner could not have known about the pollution. Incinerators produce smoke during the burning process. The smoke produced includes acid gases, carcinogen dioxin, particulates, heavy metals, and nitrogen oxide. These gases are poisonous to the environment. Research has shown that dioxin produced in the plant is a cancer-forming chemical. Recycling rate in Germany is one of the highest in Europe, with roughly 65% of waste getting recovered and reused each year. They import waste from other countries to accommodate garbage burning power plants and compositing facilities due to not enough garbage. Therefore, it is no surprise that residents feel a sense of frustration as the country imports tons of waste from its neighbors. In addition to ethical issues, the residents are having trouble with the strong odor of the waste, which sometimes piles up in one spot for weeks before being moved. Due to the population growth, the demand for waste management is increasing. In line with this, the cost of collection and waste management will increase year by year. The installation of an incineration plant is an expensive process, particularly the cost of constructing the infrastructure to the cost of operating the incineration plants are very high. Besides, an incineration plant requires trained personnel and devoted staff to man its operation. Incinerator plants also need regular maintenance, which adds to the already high cost of operating it.
Okay, for the solution, as we know, there are some country has been successful doing a zero waste campaign. About zero waste, a large number of people has agreed it. However, that really reaching a point where absolutely no waste is produced is impossible. Zero waste is a goal that we know it is actually unattainable. So, to reduce waste in Malaysia, this step must be taken. First, waste reduction. It is also known as waste prevention, means reducing waste at the source. It can take many different forms, including reusing or donating items, buying in bulk, reducing packaging, redesigning product, and others. The second steps, reuse. This include conventional reuse where the item is used again for the same function, and new life reuse where it used for a different function. Okay, the third step is recycling. It includes using a waste materials for another purpose, treating and reusing it in the same process. Recycling is a series of activities that include the collection of used, reused or unused item would otherwise be considered waste. The next step is compositing. It includes elementary neutralization and composting achieve the microbiological degradation of organic matter to produce an organic product for use in agriculture or others. And the last step is landfill operation. The final product that cannot be recycled, reduce, reuse. As we know, 3R. Or energy recovered goes to the landfill for disposal. In Malaysia, landfill is more preferred way of disposal than incinerator because again of the demographic behavior. Okay, that's all from me.